Hello everybody, this is going to be one of those videos where I ask for your help in helping me to help Blackpool and hopefully the country, certainly coastal areas. So please stay tuned, watch all of the video, and right at the very end I'll be able to share how you can help do just that. So it's been an extraordinarily busy week this week. Lots of things have been going on. You probably remember rather at the beginning of the week I discussed the fact I was on Sky News the night before, and obviously I'd just done a television interview before I made the YouTube update. And the reason is on Monday I published this report, which is a call for Blackpool to be included into any inquiry on child sexual exploitation. And I was very angry at the beginning of the year, as you remember, following a debate at the council around grooming gangs and why Blackpool should be included in an inquiry at that point. And I made a YouTube video, which I'll put a link into below, and I really sort of expressed why I was so frustrated and why I was so worried and concerned. And I said I would call for an inquiry. But in order to do that, I needed to do some research. And that research started straight away. And we're now in June. A week ago, so last Thursday, I was able to get the final sets of data that allowed me to put this report together. And I'm going to talk today about what's in this report. I'll put a link in below about exactly that, so you can see the report and read it yourself and why this matters. But the journey was extensive and it was challenging, but it absolutely convinced me, and I have an audit background, that this is absolutely essential for Blackpool. And the vision for me now is that we get Blackpool involved in this inquiry that's been announced by the government. And that was the interesting sense of timing. I'd completed this report on the Thursday. Saturday night, news starts to break that the government's audit on this, which is something called the Casey report, had identified a number of failings in the scoping work that it had done. And as a result of that, the government, a few hours later on Saturday, had announced that there would be an inquiry. However, my concern is that when you look at the scope of the audit that the government had asked the Casey team to look at, it was very much focused on northern mill towns, Telford, Oxfordshire, and that was largely going to look at obviously grooming gangs, and it identified a proclivity of predominantly Muslim males that were involved in terms of the prosecution data that they got back. Now, my concerns around that is that the issues that have been facing places like Blackpool, coastal areas, is very different. There's a much broader range of diversity in terms of offenders here, and that's represented in the population data. What I was worried about straight away on Saturday was that if we didn't get our report out and make the argument for coastal towns like Blackpool to be included, then the focus would just be on a small tranche of offenders rather than the picture of what's going on in places like Blackpool. To share some data with you, what is going on in Blackpool, the report that I put together identified, for example, between 2021 January and December 2024, there were 1,746 reports to the police of sexual assaults on children. These are big numbers, and bearing in mind a number represents a person, and that was always core to this. Absolute core to me is that there are people behind these numbers. I also got numbers around the number of registered sex offenders, that are in Blackpool. The police originally gave me some data last week, which said it was 1,555. They then, after the report was published, changed that data and sent me some new numbers, which were lower and over a bigger geographical field. So I've amended the report. But one of the lessons from the Casey review is that the way that data is being managed by our police isn't good enough. And I certainly have already evidenced that. One of the other issues that I came across is that whenever you talk about how are we managing this issue in Blackpool, you're confronted with, well, we have set up a team called Awaken, they're doing a wonderful job. So I did that classic thing of, well, prove it. How many people have been prosecuted as a result of the work of Awaken? Well, the answer that came back was, we don't know, go to the police. So go to the police say, we don't know, go to the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service. I do just that, and they say, we don't hold the data. And I think that's really important in this, is how are we measuring how effective or not this is? And the other key area is that Blackpool has never had an inquiry. And one of the recommendations that from the Casey report and what's going to happen with the government's inquiry is that there are going to be statutory powers given to these local inquiries. Why is that significant? Well, it means you can start to summon people to attend them. So it's really important that Blackpool is captured in that. So there's some really frightening and upsetting data that I picked up on as well. So Blackpool, for example, has lots of amusement arcades, as we know. How are they being managed? Do the staff have DBSs? Who's regulating them? Again, the feedback was it's up to each independent or individual business to determine that. The other area that I picked up on was the data around we have some of the highest amounts of adult sexual violence in the country. I think we're in the top 20 for that. Certainly dominate Lancashire. We have some of the highest drug deaths, alcohol deaths. We have some of the poorest housing in the country, some of the poorest wards in the country. So we have the perfect storm of conditions. We have a big informal economy, which is in some areas cash-based as well. So it's easy to hide here. So all of those things that I picked up on and I evidenced in this report, I also realised the very, very realistic chance that they're going on in other coastal areas as well. So where am I with this now is that this isn't just a report about Blackpool, it's about a report really about why all coastal areas need to be factored into this inquiry as much as Blackpool itself. It's really important that we are not forgotten. If we are forgotten and it just focuses on those mill towns and the Telfords and the Oxfordshires of this world, what will happen? I guarantee in 5 years' time, we'll be sat here having the same conversation saying Blackpool should be included, because these figures aren't going to be writing themselves. It needs an independent review of what's working and what isn't. And I know through the merry-go-round that I had just trying to get those prosecution figures that it's not good enough. It's really hard to get this data. And that should be available for all, because that's the way we know we're marking the homework of the institutions that are meant to protect our children. So that's why I'm really passionate about this, that we have to do this. So what happens next? Well, the government have announced that the National Inquiry Commissioning Board will be leading in on this. So I intend to make sure that this report it goes to them. It's already gone to the Home Secretary and Jess Phillips, the Junior Secretary at the Home Office, and we want it to be obviously covered by them, but we want it to be discussed in Parliament as well. So we've reached out to our two Blackpool MPs, Chris Webb and Lorraine Beavers, And what I'm going to do is put their contact details below, and I would encourage you, and this is the bit I really need your help with, if you can ask friends, family to write to each of those two MPs if you're in Blackpool, or even further afield, and ask to support that this report is backed by them, and that we make sure that Blackpool is included in this inquiry, and we need their support to do it. So I'm going to put their email addresses below, and this is going to be very much a people-based move now. We're going to drive this forwards. We're not going to give up. We're not going to stop until we get Blackpool included in this inquiry, because it's the only way that we'll all be satisfied that our children and our visitors' children are safe when they come to Blackpool, or they're safe when they play, they're safe when they live here. It's the only way it's ever going to be fixed, and we have to do it together. We're not going to stop until we get this done. So I would absolutely beseech you to help us, and together we will make this happen. I am not going to stop until this is done, because I can smell something isn't right here, and this report reflects that. And together, as I say, we're going to stop this from happening again, and then stop this from me having to do this in 5 years' time and say we're no further forwards. Cannot happen. This is our best chance to make this happen. So please write to them. Please ask your friends, family to do the same. We must get an inquiry for the children of Blackpool. It's got to happen, and this is our best way of doing it. And I just want to thank you all for all your support. I've had lots and lots of people who contacted me, and they know what we're doing, and their support means the world to me. And what it does is energize me to keep going until we get this done. So I just want to say a huge thank you. But we've done a lot so far. We've got a lot more to do, and we are not going to stop until we do it. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll put the links below. Really need your help on this. Let's do this together, and I'll keep you updated on the journey that we're on, and we will do this. We're going to do it together.